I've been with Graham for 4 years. We got engaged last spring after he proposed at his parents' lake house during a family barbecue. It was sweet, it was us, and I genuinely thought I was marrying my best friend. We planned a late October wedding, nothing huge, about 120 guests, at this venue outside the city that has this gorgeous indoor garden space because Graham's mom Joyce is obsessed with flowers. And honestly, I didn't care that much about the venue as long as I was marrying him. Here's what you need to know about Graham. He's not the most emotionally open person. He processes things slowly. He doesn't like confrontation, and he has this tendency to shut down when things get intense. I've always accepted this about him because when he does open up, it's real. Or at least I thought it was real. Now I don't know what's real anymore. His best friend is Travis. They've known each other since they were like 7 years old, grew up on the same street, went to the same schools, the whole thing. Travis was going to be the best man. I want to be clear about something because this is going to matter later. I have never had any kind of close relationship with Travis. We're friendly at group things. I've probably had maybe 10 one-on-one conversations with him in 4 years, and most of those were like waiting for Graham to get ready or grabbing drinks at the same time at a party. The man is practically a stranger to me. 2 days ago Sunday, we had our final walkthrough at the venue with the wedding coordinator. Graham couldn't make it because something came up, so I went alone, which was fine. I've been handling most of the wedding stuff anyway. I finished up around 4 p.m. and I was driving home when I got a text from Travis asking if I could stop by his place to pick up something for Graham. He said it was for the bachelor party that happened last weekend and Graham left it there. I should have just told him to drop it off himself. I should have said no. But it was on my way and I was in a good mood and I figured it would take 2 minutes. I pulled up to his apartment complex and texted him that I was outside. He came down to meet me and that's when he got in my car, which I thought was weird, but whatever. And then he started talking. He told me he's been in love with me for 3 years. 3 years. He said he's tried to get over it, but he can't. He said watching me plan this wedding has been torture for him. He said he doesn't think Graham appreciates me the way he would. He said he needed me to know before I made the biggest mistake of my life. I literally just stared at him. Like I didn't even know what to say because, what? This is a man I've exchanged maybe 500 words with total in 4 years and he's telling me he's in love with me? I told him he needed to get out of my car. He tried to grab my hand and I yanked it away and told him again to get out. He kept going, saying he knows I feel something too. He's seen the way I look at him. He knows there's a connection. I told him he was delusional. Those exact words. I said, Travis, you are delusional. I have never looked at you any type of way. I am marrying Graham in less than a week. Get out of my car. He finally got out, but before he closed the door, he said he wasn't going to give up and that I needed to really think about what I wanted. I drove straight home shaking. I wasn't even sure if I should tell Graham because what was the point? Travis clearly had some fantasy built up in his head and I shut it down hard. But I also knew if I didn't tell Graham and it somehow came out later, it would look bad. So when Graham got home that night, I sat him down and told him everything. And this is where my entire world started crumbling. Graham didn't react the way I expected. I thought he'd be angry at Travis. I thought he'd be protective of me, maybe even want to confront his friend. Instead, he got really quiet. And then he asked me if I'd ever given Travis any reason to think I was interested. I said no. Obviously no. What kind of question is that? He said Travis wouldn't just make something like this up out of nowhere. He said Travis is one of the most honest people he knows. I'm sitting there trying to explain that I barely even talked to Travis and Graham is looking at me like I'm lying. He asked if I'd ever texted Travis. I said yes, sometimes, when it's about you or group plans or whatever. He asked if I'd ever met up with Travis alone. I said no. Literally never. Today was the first time and I didn't even invite him into my car, he just got in. Graham said maybe I should take some time to think about my feelings because if Travis felt something, there must be a reason. I lost it. I asked him if he was seriously taking Travis's side over mine 2 days before our wedding. He said he wasn't taking sides. He was just trying to understand how his best friend could develop feelings for his fiancé out of nowhere. I said exactly. Out of nowhere because there's nothing there. I have given him nothing. Graham said maybe I gave him something without realizing it. We went to bed without resolving anything and I barely slept. The next morning, Monday, Graham left early and I spent the whole day going over everything in my head. Every single interaction I'd ever had with Travis, trying to figure out if I'd somehow led him on without knowing it. And I came up with nothing. Nothing. The man is a ghost in my life. That evening, Graham came home and he was different. Cold. He sat me down and said Travis had called him. Travis told Graham that he and I have been having an emotional affair for over a year, that we text constantly, that we've met up multiple times, that I've told Travis I'm not sure about the wedding, that I've said things about Graham that were hurtful. I started literally laughing because it was so absurd. I told Graham to look at my phone right now, go through every single text. I have nothing to hide. He said Travis already told him I delete our conversations. I said, that's convenient, isn't it? He can claim anything because there's no evidence either way. Graham said actually there is evidence because Travis has screenshots. Travis sent Graham screenshots of text conversations between me and him, where I'm apparently telling him I have feelings for him, that I think about him all the time, that I'm only marrying Graham because it's easier. They're fake. They're completely fake. I have never sent those messages, but they look real. They have my contact name, they have timestamps, they look like actual iMessages. And Graham is looking at them like he's looking at proof that I've been cheating. I grabbed his phone and looked at them, and I couldn't even process what I was seeing. Messages I never wrote. Conversations that never happened. I kept saying, these are fake, this is fake, I didn't write any of this. But Graham just kept shaking his head. He said, why would Travis go through the trouble of faking something like this? I said, because he's obsessed with me and he's trying to destroy our wedding. Graham said maybe we should postpone the wedding until I figure out my feelings. Postpone the wedding 5 days before, after 4 years together, because his creepy friend made up some fake texts. I completely broke down. Not sad crying, I was screaming at him, asking him how he could believe this, how he could look at me after 4 years and think I would do something like this. He just kept saying he needed time to think, that this was a lot to process, that maybe we both needed space. I packed a bag and drove to my mom's house. I've been here since last night. Here's where it gets worse. This morning I woke up to texts from Graham's sister Polly. She was asking me what was going on because Travis had called her last night. Travis has been calling people. He's telling Graham's whole family that I've been stringing him along, that I initiated everything, that he was trying to do the right thing by telling Graham before the wedding. He's painting himself as this tortured romantic hero who's been suffering in silence while I played games with him. And people are believing him. Polly said her mom, Joyce, is devastated. That Joyce always thought I was hiding something. Hiding something? I've been nothing but open and honest with that family for 4 years. I've gone to every holiday, every birthday, every random Sunday dinner Joyce has ever invited me to, and now she thinks I'm some kind of secret cheater because Travis made up a story. I called Joyce directly because I refused to let this spin out of control through secondhand gossip. She answered, and her voice was ice cold. She said she thinks I should be honest about what happened and stop making Travis look like a villain when he was clearly just trying to protect Graham. I said, Joyce, I am being honest. None of this happened. Travis is lying. She said then, why would he have evidence? I said, because he faked it. She told me that if I'm truly innocent, I shouldn't have a problem taking a polygraph test to prove it. A polygraph test. To prove to my future mother-in-law that I'm not a cheater. I hung up on her. I've been trying to reach Graham all day. He's not answering my calls. He responded to one text just saying he needs space and he'll call me when he's ready. Ready for what? Our wedding is in 5 days. We have deposits. We have guests flying in. We have a life we built together. And here's the thing that's really eating at me. Something Polly said in her text. She said Travis mentioned to her that he and Graham had actually talked about me before. That Graham had apparently told Travis a few months ago that he was having doubts about the wedding. That he wasn't sure if I was the one. I asked Polly what she meant, and she kind of backtracked and said maybe she misunderstood. But she definitely said it. Graham told Travis he was having doubts about me. And then suddenly Travis confesses his love and produces fake evidence that makes me look like the bad guy. I keep thinking about this. If Graham wanted out of the wedding but didn't want to be the one to end it, what better way than to have his best friend create a situation where I'm the villain? Graham doesn't have to be the bad guy. He doesn't have to deal with the fallout of calling off a wedding. He just has to act like the hurt victim while his friend does all the dirty work. But that sounds insane, right? That's crazy person thinking. Graham wouldn't do that. He's not that calculated. Or is he? I don't even know anymore. My mom is being amazing, but she doesn't know what to do either. She keeps saying if Graham really loved me, he wouldn't believe this. And maybe it's better I found out now. But I don't want it to be better I found out now. I want my wedding. I want my life. I want the man I've loved for 4 years to look at me and believe me. Tomorrow I'm driving back to the house. Our house. We bought it together a year ago. I'm not going to sit at my mom's and wait for Graham to decide if he believes me or not. I'm going to confront him face to face, and I'm going to make him show me exactly what Travis sent. I'm going to demand to see Travis face to face and ask him why he's doing this. I'm going to figure out what the hell is actually going on because right now nothing makes sense. As far as I know, Travis is still invited to the wedding. Graham's response when I asked him to uninvite Travis was that he can't just cut out his childhood best friend over. He said, she said, he said, she said. Like I'm some random woman off the street and not the person he's supposed to be marrying. If any of you have been through something like this, or have any idea how to prove fake texts are fake, or how to make someone see that they're being manipulated, please help me. I feel like I'm going insane. I feel like I'm watching my entire future burn down because one guy decided to blow up my life for reasons I still don't understand. And I keep coming back to the same question. Why would Travis do this? What does he actually gain? He can't possibly think I'm going to end up with him after this. Even if my wedding falls apart, I'm never going to look at him as anything other than the person who destroyed my life. So what's the point? Unless the point was never about getting me. Unless the point was just about making sure Graham didn't marry me. I don't know. I need to sleep, but I can't. I need answers, but I don't have any. I just needed to write this all down because it feels like if I don't get it out of my head, I'm going to explode. Wedding is Saturday. I have 4 days to either save my relationship or watch everything fall apart. I'll update after I talk to Graham tomorrow, if he even lets me in the house. First update. Okay, so I promised an update, and honestly, I don't even know how to start because the last 48 hours have been the most insane of my entire life. I'm still at my mom's house. The wedding is in 3 days. And I think I finally understand what's actually happening here, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Wednesday morning, I drove back to the house like I said I was going to. I didn't text Graham first. I just showed up. Because I wasn't going to give him another chance to avoid me. It's my house too. I pay half the mortgage. I have every right to be there. When I pulled into the driveway, Graham's car was there. But so was another car I didn't recognize. I almost didn't go in because I thought maybe it was Travis and I wasn't ready for that yet. But then I saw it was his sister Polly's car. And honestly, that made me angrier because why is she here but not me? I walked in and they were in the kitchen. Graham and Polly just sitting there with coffee like it was a normal morning. They both looked up when I came in and Polly immediately started gathering her stuff saying she should go. I told her no, she should stay, since apparently she knows more about what's going on in my relationship than I do. Graham told Polly it was fine, she could leave, and she basically ran out of there, which left me and Graham alone for the first time since I left 2 days ago. And you guys, the way he looked at me, like I was a stranger, like I was someone he was dreading having to deal with, 4 years, and that's what I got. I didn't sit down. I stood right there in the kitchen and I told him we were going to talk about this right now because our wedding is in 3 days and I'm not going to let some delusional liar destroy everything we built. He sighed. He actually sighed at me. And then he said maybe I should sit because there were things he needed to tell me. I sat down because the way he said it made me feel like something worse was coming. And I was right. Graham started talking about Travis. About how they've been friends for over 20 years. About how Travis has always been there for him through everything. About how Travis has never lied to him, not once, in all the time they've known each other. He said he's been thinking about this nonstop and he keeps coming back to the same question, which is, why would Travis make something like this up? What would he gain? I said exactly what I've been asking myself, and the answer is he's obsessed with me or he's trying to sabotage our wedding for some reason I don't understand. Graham shook his head and said, or maybe the simplest explanation is the right one. Maybe I did lead Travis on and now I'm scrambling to cover it up because I got caught. I lost it on him. I was yelling about how I have never given Travis anything, how I barely know the man, how this is insane. Graham just sat there letting me yell, and when I finally stopped, he said something that completely threw me. He said he's seen the way I act around Travis. At parties, at dinners, at group things. He said I'm different with Travis than I am with his other friends. More animated, more engaged. He said he noticed it like a year ago, but he told himself it was nothing. But now that Travis has come forward, all those little things are adding up. I asked him what the hell he was talking about because I genuinely had no idea. He said at his birthday party in February, I spent like an hour talking to Travis on the back porch while Graham was inside with everyone else. I said that's because Travis came outside to smoke and I went out for air and we ended up talking about random stuff. It was nothing. Graham said it didn't look like nothing to him. He said when he came out to check on me, we both stopped talking suddenly like we'd been caught. I remember that night. I remember talking to Travis about, I don't know, music or something. His band. He's in some local band that plays at bars sometimes. That's literally all it was. And when Graham came out, we didn't stop talking because we were hiding something. We stopped talking because Graham joined the conversation. That's how conversations work. But Graham has apparently been building this narrative in his head for months. Every innocent interaction I've ever had with Travis, he's reinterpreted through this lens of me being sneaky and unfaithful. And I had no idea. He never said anything. Never asked me about it. Just let it fester, and now suddenly it's all coming out because Travis gave him permission to believe the worst about me. I asked Graham if he actually wanted to marry me, point blank. Because if he's had doubts for this long, if he's been watching me and looking for evidence that I'm cheating, then maybe we have bigger problems than Travis. He got really quiet and didn't answer right away, which honestly told me everything I needed to know. Finally, he said he loves me, but he's not sure that's enough anymore. He said marriage is supposed to be built on trust, and right now he doesn't know if he can trust me. I said the trust issue is on your side because you're believing your friend over your fiancé based on screenshots that could easily be faked. He said maybe we should postpone the wedding and figure this out with some distance. I said we have 120 guests coming in 3 days. We have thousands of dollars in deposits, we have a future planned, and he wants to postpone because Travis decided to blow up our lives. Graham said I was making this about money and logistics when it should be about us and our relationship. I said no, he made this about Travis when he chose to believe him over me. And then I asked him the question that's been eating at me since Polly mentioned it. I asked Graham what he told Travis about having doubts about the wedding. The look on his face, like I'd caught him in something. He asked where I heard that and I said Polly mentioned it. He tried to say she must have misunderstood, but I pushed. I said, Graham, did you tell your best friend that you weren't sure about marrying me? And he admitted it. He said yes. Back in August, he talked to Travis about feeling overwhelmed with the wedding planning and questioning if we were moving too fast. He said it was just a conversation between friends and it didn't mean anything. I asked why he never talked to me about this. We're the ones getting married. If he was having doubts, shouldn't I be the first person he comes to? He said he didn't want to hurt me. He said he figured the feelings would pass. I said so instead of talking to your future wife, you vented to Travis. And now Travis has apparently decided to act on those doubts by trying to break us up. Graham said I was twisting things, that Travis confessing his feelings and Graham having cold feet months ago are two separate issues. But are they? I don't think they are. I think Travis heard that Graham was having doubts and saw an opportunity, either to swoop in himself or just to mess with both of us. I told Graham I wanted to see Travis, face to face. I wanted to look him in the eye and ask him why he's doing this. Graham immediately said that was a bad idea, that emotions were too high. I said I don't care. I deserve to confront the person who's destroying my life. Graham refused to set it up, so I did it myself. I still had Travis's number from when I texted him about picking up Graham's stuff. Isn't that ironic? The only reason I even have his number is because of the thing he used to start this whole mess. I texted him and told him we needed to talk. He responded immediately saying he'd been hoping I'd reach out. Hoping. Like this was some romantic storyline and I was finally coming around. I told him I'd meet him at the park near our house in an hour. Public place. Daytime. Because I wasn't about to be alone with this creep anywhere private. Graham saw me getting ready to leave and asked where I was going. I told him I was going to talk to Travis. He said I shouldn't, that it would only make things worse. I said things are already as bad as they can get, what's a little worse? Graham tried to stop me. Physically tried to stop me. He grabbed my arm and said he didn't want me meeting with Travis alone. I asked why. If I've been having this supposed emotional affair with the guy, shouldn't Graham want me to see him? Shouldn't he want to know what happens when we're together? I pulled away and left. Travis was already at the park when I got there, sitting on a bench looking all casual like we were meeting for a friendly chat. I walked right up to him and I didn't sit down. I stood over him and I asked him why he was doing this to me. He had the nerve to look confused. He asked what I meant. I said, you know what I mean. The fake texts, the lies you're telling everyone. You're trying to destroy my relationship and I want to know why. He said he wasn't trying to destroy anything. He was trying to save me from making a mistake. He said Graham doesn't appreciate me and he never will. He said Graham talks about me to him, tells him things about our relationship, complains about me. And Travis just sits there listening and knowing he would never treat me that way. I told him I don't care what Graham says to him in private conversations. That's between friends. It doesn't give Travis the right to insert himself into our relationship. He said he didn't insert himself. He just finally told the truth about how he feels. I said the truth is fine. I can handle someone having feelings. What I can't handle is him faking text messages and telling everyone I've been cheating when I haven't. He looked me right in the face and said those texts aren't fake. He said everything in them is real, that I sent them, that I've been confiding in him for over a year about my doubts about Graham. I said, Travis, that's a lie and we both know it. He said maybe I've blocked it out. Maybe I've convinced myself it didn't happen because facing it would mean my whole life is different than I thought it was. I wanted to scream. This man is sitting there gaslighting me in broad daylight and acting like he's the reasonable one. I told him I was going to prove the texts are fake. I was going to pull my phone records and show that I've never had those conversations with him. He smiled and said I could try, but those records only show calls, not the content of messages. I said they'll show I never texted him repeatedly like those screenshots suggest. He said Graham already believes him, so it doesn't really matter what I prove. And then he said something that made me want to throw up. He said Graham came to him after our fight on Monday and told Travis he was relieved. That part of him was relieved to have a reason to call off the wedding, that Graham had been looking for an exit for months, and Travis just handed him one. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Travis is just trying to mess with my head more. But the way he said it, so confident and casual, like it was common knowledge. And Graham's face when I asked about the doubts. The way he couldn't deny it. The way he's been acting like he's the victim when he's the one who was talking behind my back to Travis about wanting out. I asked Travis one more time to just admit that he faked those texts. I said if there was ever any part of him that actually cared about me, he would tell the truth. He said he is telling the truth and that one day I'll remember what really happened, and I'll realize he was the only one who actually loved me. I left. I couldn't stand there anymore looking at that smug face knowing he was never going to admit anything. I got back in my car and I just sat there for like 20 minutes trying to process what just happened. When I got home, Graham was waiting for me. He asked what Travis said. I told him Travis is sticking to his story and I'm sticking to mine, and now Graham has to decide who he believes. Graham said that's not fair, that he's in an impossible position. I said no. I'm in an impossible position because I'm being accused of something I didn't do, and my own fiancé won't defend me. We fought for hours, literally hours, going around in circles about the texts, about Travis, about Graham's doubts, about the wedding. At one point, I brought up his mom's suggestion that I take a polygraph, and I asked if that's what he wanted too. He said it might help put his mind at ease. I said, are you serious? You want me to take a lie detector test to prove I'm not cheating on you? He said he didn't know what else would convince him at this point. I told him if he needs a polygraph to believe me after 4 years together, then we don't have a relationship worth saving. He said I was being dramatic again. I said no, I'm being realistic. This isn't something couples come back from. Either you trust me or you don't. And if you need a machine to verify my honesty, then you've already decided you don't. We went to bed in separate rooms. I slept in the guest room, the one that was supposed to be for when we have kids someday. I laid there staring at the ceiling, thinking about how a week ago I was so excited for this wedding, and now I'm not sure I even want to marry this man anymore. Thursday morning, I woke up to texts from multiple people. Graham's aunt asking if the wedding was still on because she needed to finalize her flight. My cousin asking what was going on because she'd heard something happened. And one of my bridesmaids, my friend Julianne, asking me to call her because she'd been at a bar the night before and ran into Polly. I called Julianne. She said Polly was with a group of Graham's family friends and they were all talking about the wedding drama. Apparently it's spreading. Polly was telling people that I'd been caught cheating and the wedding was probably off. Julianne said she defended me, but people were believing the story because why would Graham's best friend lie about something like this? So now half my guest list thinks I'm a cheater. 3 days before my wedding. Deposits paid, dress altered, vows written, all of it burning down because one man decided to make up a story and another man decided to believe it. I confronted Graham about Polly spreading rumors. He said he didn't know she was doing that and he'd talk to her. I said talking to her isn't enough. She needs to tell people the truth. He said what truth? Because right now nobody knows what the truth is. I said the truth is I didn't cheat. He said he wants to believe that, but the screenshots are hard to ignore. I grabbed his phone off the counter and I made him pull up those screenshots again. I looked at them closely this time, really closely. And you know what I noticed? In one of the supposed conversations between me and Travis, there's a message where I apparently use the word gonna. I never type gonna, I always type going to. It's a stupid little thing, but I pointed it out to Graham. I said, look, I don't write like this isn't my voice. He said that's not proof of anything. People write differently when they're texting. I said, okay, then look at the timestamps. One of the conversations is dated September 15th at 2 p.m. September 15th was a Sunday. The Sunday of Graham's mom's birthday. We were at his mom's house from like 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. I wasn't texting Travis that afternoon because I was in a room full of Graham's relatives eating cake. Graham got quiet. I could see him thinking about it. I said, look, I can prove where I was that day. There are probably photos with timestamps. Your mom definitely posted on Facebook. Pull it up. He didn't want to. He said he needed to think about all of this. I said, what's there to think about? I just showed you that at least one of those conversations couldn't have happened. He said maybe I texted from the bathroom or when I went outside or something. Making excuses for Travis. Literally looking for ways to keep believing I'm guilty when I just showed him a hole in the story. I told him I was done trying to convince him. I said the wedding is on Saturday and either we're getting married or we're not, but I'm not going to keep begging him to believe me. He said maybe we should officially postpone and let everyone know. I said if you want to call off this wedding, you call off this wedding. I'm not doing it for you. That's where we left it. I'm back at my mom's house now. Tomorrow is Friday. The rehearsal dinner is supposed to be tomorrow night. I don't even know if it's happening anymore. Graham's mom, Joyce, hasn't responded to any of my texts. Half the wedding party is confused. The venue has been calling asking for final confirmation. Travis texted me tonight, just now. He said he hopes I'm okay and that he's sorry things are so messy, but he truly believes this is for the best. He said Graham was never going to make me happy, and deep down I know that. He said he's willing to wait for me to realize it. I didn't respond. I screenshotted it though and sent it to Graham. His response? He asked if I was sure I wanted to send him my conversations with Travis. Like I was trying to trick him somehow. Like showing him proof that Travis is still pursuing me is somehow evidence against me. I'm starting to think Graham wants to believe Travis. I think he wants an excuse to call off this wedding, and Travis gave him one. I think he's known for months that he doesn't want to marry me, and instead of being honest about it like an adult, he's letting his friend blow everything up so he doesn't have to be the bad guy. 2 more days. The wedding is Saturday. I still don't know if it's happening. I don't know if I even want it to happen anymore. But I refuse to be the one who calls it off. If Graham wants out, he's going to have to say it himself. More updates coming, probably. At this rate, my whole life is one continuous update. Last update. So, the wedding didn't happen. And I'm okay. Actually, I'm better than okay, but let me tell you how we got here because it's wild. Friday morning, I woke up at my mom's house and I made a decision. I wasn't going to spend another day defending myself to people who didn't want to believe me. I was going to get answers directly from the source. Not Travis this time. Graham. I drove to the house around 10 a.m. I walked in and told him we were going to have an actual conversation. No more dancing around things. No more maybe we should postpone talk. I needed to know once and for all if he wanted to marry me. He started with the usual stuff about needing time and not knowing what to believe. I cut him off. I said, Graham, forget Travis for 1 second. Forget the texts. Forget all of it. Do you want to marry me? Not can you, not should you. Do you want to? He couldn't answer. Just sat there with this look on his face like I'd asked him to solve a math problem he didn't understand. And that silence told me everything. I pushed harder. I said you told Travis in August you were having doubts. You've been watching me for months looking for evidence I was doing something wrong. You immediately believed your friend over me without even questioning it. This is about you wanting out and being too much of a coward to say it. He finally started talking. And you guys, what came out of his mouth was almost worse than the fake texts. He said he'd been feeling trapped for a while. That the engagement happened because his family expected it, and I expected it, and he got swept up in the momentum. He said he loves me, but he's not sure he's in love with me anymore. He said watching the wedding get closer and closer has felt like watching a train come at him and not being able to move. I asked him why he never said any of this to me. 4 years together, and he couldn't open his mouth and tell me he was having second thoughts? He said he didn't want to hurt me. He said he kept hoping the feelings would change. I said so instead of being honest, you vented to Travis and let him believe there was an opening. Graham didn't deny it. He just sat there looking pathetic. And then I asked the question that had been burning in my gut since this all started. I said, did you know Travis was going to do this? Did you tell him to do this? He said no. He said he was blindsided when Travis confessed his feelings. But then he paused and said, But when Travis showed him the texts, part of him was relieved because it meant the decision was made for him. He didn't have to be the one to call it off. He could be the victim instead of the villain. I stood up. I was done. I told him he was a coward. I said, you let your friend fabricate evidence against me. You let your family think I'm a cheater. You let half our guests cancel because they believe I'm unfaithful. All because you were too weak to have one honest conversation with me. He tried to say it wasn't like that, but I told him to shut up because that's exactly what it was like. I told him the wedding was off, not postponed, off. I said I wouldn't marry someone who would throw me under the bus to avoid having to make a hard decision himself. I said he and Travis could have each other because they clearly understand each other better than he ever understood me. He asked if we could maybe still talk about this, maybe work things out eventually. I told him absolutely not. I said this wasn't a rough patch we could therapy our way through. He let me be publicly humiliated. He let his mother demand I take a polygraph. He let his sister spread rumors about me. All because he couldn't say 4 words. I don't want this. I grabbed the rest of my stuff from the house. Clothes, personal items, the things that were mine before we moved in together. I told him I'd be back for the rest later with my mom or Julianne, that I didn't want to be alone with him anymore. He asked what he was supposed to tell people about the wedding. I said, tell them whatever you want. You're good at making up stories. Or at least your friend is. On my way out, I saw my engagement ring on the counter. I'd left it there when I packed my bag earlier in the week. I thought about taking it, thought about throwing it at him, but I just left it there. Let him deal with it. Let him figure out what to do with the symbol of the future he was too scared to be honest about. Saturday came, what was supposed to be my wedding day. I spent it at my mom's house eating takeout and watching trash TV with her and Julianne. We didn't talk about Graham or Travis. We didn't talk about the wasted deposits or the embarrassment of having to tell everyone the wedding was off. We just sat there being together. My mom handled most of the calls. She told people there wasn't going to be a wedding, and if they wanted details, they could ask Graham because it wasn't her daughter's story to tell. Some people reached out to me directly, mostly friends who'd heard different versions and wanted to know the truth. I told them the short version. Graham's friend made up lies about me. Graham believed them. I found out Graham had wanted out for months anyway. The end. I heard through Julianne that Joyce was telling people I called off the wedding because I was caught cheating and couldn't face the shame. Let her say whatever she wants. The people who know me know the truth. Everyone else can believe whatever makes them feel better about their own choices. Travis texted me one more time on Saturday night. Something about how he was sorry it happened this way, but he still thinks this was meant to be. I blocked him. I should have done it days ago, but part of me wanted to keep the evidence of his delusion in case I needed it. I don't need it anymore. I just need him gone. Graham has texted a few times too. Nothing meaningful. Just stuff like hoping I'm okay and wanting to talk when I'm ready. I haven't responded. There's nothing left to say. He showed me exactly who he is when things got hard. Someone who hides, deflects, and lets other people take the fall for his own cowardice. I'm staying at my mom's for now while I figure out next steps with the house. We bought it together, so there's going to be financial stuff to untangle. But that's future me's problem. Present me is just focused on getting through each day without completely losing it. I'm going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it right now, but I know I will be. That's the end. No wedding, no husband, but also no more lies. I'll take it.